Hi, Dan.
There. How are you?
Great. Bad lighting. Still resting um, my sprained ankle, so I'm good.
When did you sprain your ankle?
Yeah, I sprained it last week in the gym. So everything's good.
So it's acting up.
Yeah. Let's see if I can hear. I had about 3 people join us last week. I
Okay.
went through the One Thing Mastermind. And last week we went over the first chapter, the first introduction of the one thing and the domino effect. And we didn't quite get to Success Leaves Clues. And the one thing we talked about was what is the one thing that you're going to do this week? So I asked on page 9 of this book, what's the one thing that you can do this week such that by doing it everywhere else would be easier or unnecessary? So that was interesting for everybody to go around and think about. And then we talked about how that one thing can lead to a domino effect, and what do we see as our domino effect from this one thing that we're going to do this week.
Now, where do you get that book? Is that at Barnes & Noble?
Yeah, the one thing by Gary Keller.
Okay.
Picked it up at the library, but it's online and you can download it, and there's a YouTube video of it, and I read all that, listened to it, and there's they have a website that has great resources, and they have even a PDF to go through, and I need to go through a little bit more, and they have tons of more resources.
Okay.
So I'm not the only person that can give you more insights in this book, because they have I listened to a podcast about it, and they've interviewed other book authors that have read it and gotten some better insights of this one thing as well, which was very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Their lives have changed from making this book and making the connections that they had made in this book. So it's really neat to see their journey on it as well.
Good.
Yeah. So if you could share maybe one thing that you would like to do this week that would help you, everything else, doing this one thing would help everything else become easier or unnecessary. To
one thing.
Push us off.
Practicing more of what we call the 3-foot rule. Opening my mouth when I get close enough to someone to say, "Hi, how are you?" And start a conversation.
Yes.
And you and I had talked about
so much easier with kids, because sometimes they're easy to gravitate. And I know my daughter was like, is this stranger? Or when I was comfortable, they were comfortable. And but some kids will just go up to anybody. No one's a stranger. And so you have to kind of teach them that. So I always look at it as a kid's perspective too, going, who's the stranger danger? And then how do you find that commonality? So going through the gold hunt was an also commonality that I was like, I'm figuring this out. Maybe we can ask them, help us through the scavenger hunt. So it's interesting, the first conversations that we would have to total strangers, to total new people, to get a common ground to help us find this answer. So that was really helpful. And I think a lot of people use the network marketing opportunities too, going, have an Avon book. Who likes Avon?
Yeah.
You just got something in there we both like Avon, right? And that was an easy way to meet your neighbor.
Yeah.
I got an Avon book. Do you like Avon?
That's good.
No. I'm an Avon lady.
Well,
I met a lot of my neighbors. They're like, oh, I sell Avon too. Oh, cool. We both like Avon.
That's funny.
I know. But then back, you're like, yeah, Avon's book is read more than the Bible. And to be like, oh my word, really? I guess I believe that. The Avon book's read more than the Bible? What?
Yeah,
When they put,
that's disturbing.
yeah, on how many books are out there and stuff. I
Well,
know.
it's funny. I've heard it said before. I mean, with our cosmetics too, that when the economy is bad, women will still figure out a way to buy their makeup. It's like when they talked about going through the Great Depression. Women still figured out a way to get their makeup
Yeah.
because they like it and it makes them feel good.
Yeah.
Even though they don't have
And
much
it gets
else.
them out of that depression. Like,
Exactly.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Crazy, crazy.
That's funny.
That is. My one thing last week was to do a video. I slacked off on that one. I did do one video. I'm actually uploading it to YouTube right now.
Very good. Yeah, we actually
not on the topics that I wanted.
we just started a challenge last week. It's a 90-day challenge with our business, and everybody had to upload a video to Facebook to our private group on our why and our goal statement. And so that it pushes people out of their comfort zone, because I've seen people just hate doing a video. I don't know. There's not a lot of people who do like doing a video because you're putting yourself out there.
I know.
It's good. It's
I've
a
been
growing
on a lot
opportunity.
of video challenges. I want to say the first one was back in 2008 or 2009, and it was a 90-day challenge. But it seemed like I kept going in 90-day challenges. We would do like one video a day, but the hardest challenge I think I had was 100 videos in 3 days. That's how I did.
Wow.
It was, that was pushing. I was like, what? It was even around Christmas time, like the most busiest time of the year, like before New Year's.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that even possible? How do you do 100 videos in 3 days? Like,
how do you come up with enough ideas to do 100 videos in 3 days?
Yeah, so I was reading this great book, like a sales book, and it had lots of chapters. And so I would do like, and those videos are still out there today, like through that challenge. I just like walked around the pond that I had, and I did some live. I think I could do live then. I don't remember, it was so long ago. And so I did, while I was doing some live or some were uploading, I was still making videos, right? And so I was walking around the pond. I was like, okay, I got 2 minutes. I'll see you in the next video. Click. I was like, okay, now I'm on the next video and I'm talking about this next chapter. Okay, 2 minutes. Click. See you in the next video.
That's funny.
That's kind of how I was doing it. That was crazy.
So did you hit the 100?
I think I did. Yeah. Yeah, there were a couple of them that finished the challenge. Yeah, I would finish every challenge that I was on. Like I remember the first 90-day challenge, and they said a few people will make it, and we were all in groups of 5 people, and like really a lot of people don't make the challenge, finish the 90 days, and out of the 5 people in our group, 2 of us were standing at the end. Yeah, the rest of them had quit. I was like, really? Like, what's going on? Like, life happened or other reasons, and they quit. But I don't think I've ever been on a challenge that I haven't like finished. So I guess that stands up to me how determined I am. Like, if this is a challenge and I say yes, and I'm going to do it, I'm going to finish, because I really have, I think, finished every challenge that I've set to do and stuff.
Well, our 90-day challenge that started last week. Anyone that finishes the challenge, I think there's 25 of us. Anyone that finishes the challenge goes on J.R. Ridinger's Utopia 4, which is their yacht in Miami. So I'm pushing for that one.
Yeah, you can finish this challenge.
Yeah.
They push you on a challenge, I'll finish it. Yeah. Totally. So if you can't think of the one thing, my one thing, probably just do another video this week if I can just keep one for my business, because I know with my challenging schedule that I've got this week, to do one for my piano business and the karaoke one, is going to be a challenge for me. And I really want to get that business ready and solid before the classes start at the end of the month.
Right.
So I've got to do some videos to get people ready to know what that's going to be like.
Yeah.
I'm going, I've got a new business membership, new idea coming on. And I talked about it for a little bit for people, but I got to actually put some content.
Now, is the karaoke, is that going to be where everyone gets together in one place, or is this all online?
It's going to be an online membership because I wanted to have ways to have online voice lessons and stuff. And that was a way for me to have people submit their recordings and be wherever they want to, and be more mobile with it. I am doing local classes in the community, and I will record those as I can so they can get examples of what I'm doing, locally. And then all this stuff can be online. So everybody can kind of have access and be able to have a chance to experience it. So the best is in person to get the best voice. And they don't have that capability. I wanted to put that online and give you some more ideas and options that you can improve on your own with this resource. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be a challenge, I know, because there's not a lot of online resources to help you with voice lessons. So there's just a few. I've researched a few, but to say, hey, this is going to work for me, it's going to be a challenge. So it's going to get out there.
Yeah.
To start.
Now, these Zooms you're doing every week for what is it, about 5 weeks?
Yeah, I just put it through the first week of February.
Is it... what is it each week? Is it a chapter that you're going through?
Yeah, I put it on my website that do a few chapters at a time. I wanted another time during the week, during the day, and I just can't find it. I had to cancel my Wednesday at noon. I didn't have anybody show up last week, and it seemed like a good time. So I was trying to find some more times that people could do it.
What is your website?
I put the one thing, mastermind.now.site.
The one thing mastermind.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat here so you can see it. Let's see, here's the chat. I'll go through. That one has I put the topics on there. So today we can go through the success leaves clues and then the lies. Everything matters equally and multitasking. So there's some pretty good takeaways. I just uploaded a video on the success leaves clues, and that was to me a takeaway of finding what success you have and keep going. Just kind of you're taking apart I know my talents and my skills, and I want to get better at that. Not thinking you're weak in one area and you're not good at it. Try to get better at that, but really kind of more hone down on your skills and what you're good at, and just keep getting better at it. And those things that you're weak on, give it to somebody else that's really good at it, and then you're getting better at your one thing, your skills. There's several. It talks about one product, one service. It talks about the one thing in different people's in their lives, and it gave several examples. Let's see if I can find one. The one thing, what Curly knew. He talks about the big guys like Bill Gates and how they created an extraordinary life. He was shared a little bit of his background and how he decided to put the wealth to work to make a difference in the world. And their one thing was to tackle tough problems. So they had ambitious programs, one goal to harness advances in the science and technology to save lives in the poor countries. And to do this, they eventually settled on the one thing: to stamp out the infectious disease as a major cause of death in a lifetime. So at one point in their journey, they made a decision to focus on one thing to do this: the vaccines. And so Bill explained the decision by saying, we have to choose what the most impactful thing to give would be. The magic tool of health intervention is vaccines, because they can be made inexpensively. So the singular line of questioning led them down one path. Melinda asked, where's the place that you can have the biggest impact with the money? And Bill and Melinda Gates are living proof of the power of the one thing. So I gave that example of, that's the hardest success is the starting point for achieving extraordinary results.
Okay.
And then the lies, they mislead us and just derail us, finding the truth. And then everything matters to you equally. That one was a pretty short chapter, but this matters to you equally and through multitasking is pretty big. There's some pretty good takeaways I could share with it. I don't know if you've read some of the chapters, if you have anything you want to add.
I haven't gotten the book yet.
Okay, well, I'll share some insights.
I need to get the book.
Yeah, get the book. Maybe I'll help you with some of this to see where we can help focus. That's why I was like, I'm coming with the Mastermind and talking with those that have read through it or want to go through it or no one else has. And like, this will be a chance to kind of get a book and something on. So the chapter with the lies, they mislead and derail us, shows, the trouble with truthiness.
Trouble with what?
Truthiness.
Truthiness, huh?
I don't know if I like that word.
Yeah, that's a new one on me.
They, 2003, Webster began analyzing, searching on the online dictionary to determine the word of the year. So this is the truthiness.
So that's actually in Webster's dictionary.
Yeah, word comedian Stephen Colbert coined as truth that comes from the gut, not books. That was nominated in 2006 as the word of the year. I don't know.
That's funny.
So the result of this, the problem is we tend to act what we believe, even though we believe isn't anything we should. As a result, buying into the one thing becomes difficult because we're unfortunately bought into too many others. More often than not, those other things middle our thinking, misguide our actions, and sidetrack our success. So I think it's kind of like what is truth and what you believe to know, what's real, to move forward in your decisions and stuff.
Yeah, you have to know the difference between truth and perception.
Yeah, and it kind of comes back to like logic and emotions too, the way I look at it, how you make decisions. Yep. So the end of this chapter starts by challenging us to repeat these lies, the 6 lies of success that keep us living from the one thing. So here's the 6 lies. Yep. 1, everything matters equally. So each of these is a different chapter. This is how they kind of break it down. Multitasking, a disciplined life, willpower's always on will call, a balanced life, and big is bad. So it's going to go through an example of all those in the next sections. So they kind of explain it better.
All right.
So the everything matters equally is pursued in the name of justice and human rights. What? This equality is a lie. Oh my goodness.
Equality.
Okay, so the understanding of this is basic of all great decisions. I wish they have an online like PDF somewhere, I think. I don't remember. I found a link somewhere, I think. Yeah. So it breaks it down into different sections on this one. And I'll try to go through the sections. They have a lot of great quotes. Just kind of briefly, I won't read everything. I'll just kind of read some takeaways. It says, much ado about nothing, and it talks about to-do lists. Because a lot of people do to-do lists, to time management, success. I have to-do lists. Do you do any to-do lists on a regular basis?
I don't know that on a regular basis. My to-do list, my business is my focus.
Mm-hmm.
So my to-do list is the basic 5 that we have.
Yeah.
And it's something that we just do every day. The hardest thing for this or anything is consistency. That's what's difficult. And that's what really holds a lot of people back. That's why my business isn't to the size it is yet. It should be yet, because I haven't been consistent.
Yeah.
I go great guns for a few days and then I fall off the wagon. And so it does set you back.
Right. It has a big quote on here. Achievers always work from a clear sense of priority. So as you see the consistency and the routine, finding that priority to be consistent with it is huge.
It is.
So it talks about that. To-do lists tend to be long, success lists are short. And the next section is called Juran, Juran, cracks the code. And he shares an example of this principle. And I like this little principle. I'll try to show it. Effort versus results. Yeah. Right? 20% efforts, 80% results. So it talks about this Pareto's principle. Have you heard of it?
No.
80-20 principle asserts that minority causes, inputs, or efforts usually lead to majority of the results, outwards, or rewards. In other words, in the world of success, things are not equal. A small amount creates the most of the results, just like the right input creates the most output. Select effort creates most of all the rewards. It seems like, we did this on like a lot of my actions. So they say, how long did it take you to write that blog post? And a good blog post would be 2,000 words. So did it take you 4 hours to write that blog post? Hey, do the research, put the pictures in there, you got this blog post completed. Or did it take you a couple days, depending on your skills or whatever in there. So I got an average of, 4 hours to put a blog post together. And they said, you spent 4 hours on that blog post. You need to do 80% of that time more on promoting it. And then we'd be like, oh my word, if I spent 4 hours on that, I need to do like 3 times that. I need to spend, 16 hours or, a couple days promoting it. And what does that include? And what are you doing? And is that going to take that long? So that's where it was like, oh, I just put it out there. But then thinking, how much am I going to promote it? What do I do for that? So that's when it comes on going, oh, maybe I'm going to do a video for an hour and talk about my blog post that I spent 4 hours doing, 1 hour, going, oh my goodness, do I need to do that every day? And then do I need to email other people? Do I need to message other people? Put it on other sites? I'm going to share it. And did I do that much blog post, sharing for that effort too? So that's kind of like my example going, oh my goodness, I didn't really see the full perspective of it because I didn't see the 80-20 principle in there. And he shows like the to-do list versus success list. I don't know if I can see that because like to do, and then those are the shit.
Right.
There. So I like that. I was trying to see the role and understand where perspective is also. And I also looked at it from time with my business versus time with my family too. Going, I'm making all these videos, but what videos do I have with my daughter? And that just like broke my heart, going, I am not spending enough time with her. I need to make sure I am, spending, making those memories and videos that I am with her versus my business. And
it needs to be balanced.
Yeah, it would very take that away from me going, oh my goodness, okay, we're going to do something together.
And, I also found too that activity doesn't necessarily equal results. Mm-hmm. And I've found myself doing that. I'm just busier than heck.
Mm-hmm.
When I stopped and thought about it, how much results did I get from it? So am I working hard or am I working smart?
So we're like, what is going to get results? So I end up, when I do a lot of videos with her, going, you know what you're going to say at the end? You're going to say, click the link below. Or we're going to say our website name, aleciastringer.com.
Right.
And click the link and see more that you can get us results. Right?
Yeah.
That one click will make the difference. So it was funny. A lot of videos I made with her, she would say, what do you say at the end? Click the link, mommy. So she knows a lot of my process because I try to create those.
Sure.
That's funny. So at the end of this chapter, it shares some big ideas, and I like these tips that it gives. Number one was go small. Don't focus on being busy, like you just said.
Yep.
Focus on being productive. Allows what matters most to drive your day. Number two is go extreme. Once you've figured out what actually matters, keep asking what matters most until there's only one thing left. That's powerful.
Yeah, it is.
Activity goes to the top of your success list. I like that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number three, go no. Whether you say later or never, the point is to say not now to anything else that you could do until your most important work is done. And I like that too. Kind of helps you prioritize.
Again, that's staying focused on what your real goals are.
Yep. And number four, don't get trapped in the check-off game. We believe things don't matter equally. We must act accordingly. Right. So those are pretty big. I used to get big notebooks just so I can scratch it off and say, look, I finished my day. I feel accomplished. Instead of that, I ended up like splitting my page in half and had my to-do list and had my scratch offs. But then on the bottom, I had to write down what I accomplished. And that was huge as well. I actually did that with one of my teams, and more things that were not on the to-do list were on the accomplishment list going, I didn't think to put that down, but I'm going to accomplish that right now. And it got us to thinking more action oriented and going, we're going to accomplish more things in our day than we have on our to-do list as well. So that can be powerful. Instead of writing to-do list, write accomplishment list that you do in the day. And it feels better too, I think. Yeah. So instead of to-do list, write accomplishments. I can't even say it. Accomplished list. I'm going to try to say it one day.
Yeah, do that in the video.
That's right. Everybody say accomplishment. Accomplishment list. And that's my new tongue twister this week for my voice lesson. Accomplishment.
Wow. I don't think you say that 10 times fast.
I know.
Too many syllables.
Yes. But regardless, doing the most important thing is always the most important thing. There you go.
The obvious.
Was Everything Matters Equally chapter. And the last one we'll go through is multitasking today. If I can make it. This one. Multitasking. I end up catching myself sometimes doing it because I'm a mom and I just can handle, I feel like, a lot of things. But I've also realized that to be more productive, I don't. So this one is showing multitasking is a lie. That's the biggest underline in this one. And there's several sections in here. It's called Monkey Mind, Juggling is Illusion, brain channels, driven to distraction, and then some big ideas at the end. So the monkey mind, I think he was talking about how the concept of humans is doing more than one thing at a time was studied by psychologists since the 1920s. But the term multitasking didn't arrive into the scene until the 1960s. And it was used to describe the computers, not people. So I believe that too, because of the different multitasking we want the computers to do for us, right?
Oh, yeah. That's what the computers are good at. I mean, as a lot of people in a job find themselves multitasking, and really,
dang it, those
all that
secretaries,
is they're distracted. I mean, I was being a meat buyer. It's very high stress, and sometimes a very fast pace. Now, I'm not in a position now like I was when I was younger, that I am forced to do that. But there are days that it gets a little crazy, and I found myself trying to do 4 different things at the same time because they all had a deadline, and you're being pushed and pulled from different directions. So that's where the term multitasking came from.
Yeah.
And it really is tough on efficiency when you're doing things.
Right. It says multitasking is a scam. It says Billy Collins summed it up well. We call it multitasking, which makes it sound like an ability to do lots of things at the same time. And a Buddhist would call this monkey mind. And we think we're mastering multitasking, but we're just driving ourselves bananas.
Yeah, we are. There were many days I've found myself going bananas.
That's right.
I mean, you're just mentally and physically drained by the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't finish one thing. Somebody was interrupting you to do something else.
Yeah, I guess kind of that's why I feel like the moms coined that, because you're trying to do something and then you have a kid pulling on you, going, come on, I need a cookie or whatever, my nose out there, whatever. And bless my sister now with 3 boys, and I just watch it going, yeah, she has it. She has the multitasking coming in.
Right. That's right.
Oh my goodness. So juggling is an illusion. With an average of 4,000 thoughts a day flying in and out of our heads, it's easy to see why we try to multitask. If we change every thought every 14 seconds in an invitation to change direction. So juggling isn't multitasking. Juggling is an illusion. Let's see what else from there. So this is where kind of he like task switching, and it has an interruption workflow, kind of like a picture on that. And I don't know if that makes sense. It has all the different workflows and then the one flow in there. And I look at this as I remember I kind of had to do this throughout my day, and in order to stay focused on my work, when I was spending close to 20 hours a day on my computer, and I really had to say, oh my word, I had to look at my rescue time going, I can't do this, physically, mentally anymore. And now I'm down to 4 hours a week. And how did I go from 20 hours a day down to 4 hours a week? Was a challenge, because I'm like, I'm going to the 4 hour work week. I'm going to the 4 hour work week kind of thing. And I had to read that book and focus on that and figure out what was important. How do I break up my day when I know I had long tasks? Like I had a blog post and how long it would take and what I needed to do to break that up so I can continuously make sure I am focused. And that's where I kind of got to the bulking, kind of thing. Like I bulk all my stuff all together and get that done. So I think that's why it talks about these brain channels in here. And let's see what Brain Channels talks about. It's happening when we're doing two things at once. We separate them. Brain channels, as a result, is we're able to process different kinds of data in different parts of our brain. So it breaks that down over here. Every time we try to do two or more things at once, we're simply dividing our focus and dumbing down all the outcomes in the process. So it has this 6 list of multitasking short circuits us. Number 1, there's just so much brain capability at one time. Divide it up as much as you want, but you'll pay a price in time and effectiveness. So there's only so much we can handle, right?
Right.
And number 2, the more you switch to another task, the less likely you get back to the original task. And this is how loose ends pile up. So I remember that you're like, I had this thing I was doing this morning. Will you go back to it? Number 3, bounce between one activity and another, and you lose time as your brain reorients to the new task. Those milliseconds add up. Researchers estimate we lose 28% of an average workday to multitasking ineffectiveness. So I guess that's how do we change our activities too?
Yeah, somehow you need to figure out a way to prioritize the tasks. So once you start the task, you stay on the task until it's finished, rather than working on 2 or 3 tasks at the same time. Because it does take time for your brain to get back into the task you were doing, and so you're wasting time anyway.
Yeah. Number 4 is chronic multitaskers develop a distorted sense of how long it takes to do things. They almost always believe tasks take longer to complete than is actually required. I've seen that, like, people actually try to see how many times your notifications and you check your email. When it was going really bad, going, how often do you check your email throughout the day? And when I did that first 90-day challenge, some people would check it every hour. Some people check it twice a day. And like we had like a little, vote on there. And the 4-hour work week checked his email once a week or something like that. So it's just like how you communicate, because some people do communicate through email, and how that's done. If it's only once a week and they only check it, how much are you going to put in that email?
Right. Well, and the thing is, for instance, it's the nature of the work too.
Yeah, so different
my work,
ways to look at it.
If I only did check my emails once a week, I'd be in the boss's office having a conversation, because I would miss so many things, because so many in business today, or in a job especially, a lot of emails are time sensitive.
Right.
You can't just ignore them for a week.
Right.
Somebody's going to be talking to you.
Right.
Even in business. A lot of critical business functions for entrepreneurs depend on email.
Yeah, so there's changing up email versus chat message versus text message, and I was using Skype there for a little while, whatever message channels you have, WhatsApp, whatever, and how many notifications, how do you get those, and then your Monday task or Trello or whatever else organization thing, notifications you got going through there. I try to eliminate all those because I hate all those organization channels, but depending on teams or whatever they want to build. But there's a lot of how do you handle all these notifications to understand back to priority, multitasking.
Yes, and you have people that are just the opposite. They're addicted to email. They're checking their email because they're afraid they're going to miss something.
Yes.
And what ends up happening is, if they really take a good look at it, in an hour's time, they didn't get all that many emails.
Yep.
They kept looking at the same emails.
Yeah, like You need an email break.
Yeah, exactly.
I need a social media break. Not a social media person. But it is weird to tell people, I only spend 4 hours a week on social media and I manage 100 accounts. So if you're spending more than 4 hours a day on social media, bless your heart, you need me to help you. And I don't spend that much time on it. Yeah. So there's something you're doing wrong, and as the expert, I want to help you there. I want to help you be more productive. So that is where it comes to understanding the chronic versus priorities, and that. So that was huge for me. Number 5, multitaskers make more mistakes than non-multitaskers. They often make poor decisions because they favor new information over old, even if the older information is more valuable. So that's interesting too, to evaluate, the history and effect of everything that's going on right there. Number 6, the multitaskers experience more life-reducing, happiness-quelching stress.
Say that again?
The multitaskers experience more life-reducing, happiness-quelching stress. That just sounds, multitaskers are stressful. So that was a good steps there. Why do we ever tolerate multitasking when we're doing our most important work? It's a good question. So anything that, so here's the big ideas, so we can see how we can eliminate what's multitasking you're doing this week. Number 1, distraction is natural. Don't feel bad when you get distracted. Everyone gets distracted. Number 2, multitasking takes a toll. They're at work, at home. Distractions lead to poor choices, painful mistakes, and unnecessary stress. 3, distraction undermines results. When you try to do too much at once, you end up doing nothing at all. Figure out what matters most in the moment and give it your undivided attention. So in order to put the principle into the one thing to work you can't buy until alive, that's trying to do 2 things at once is a good idea. Though multitasking is sometimes possible, it's never possible to do it effectively.
Right.
Very powerful. So do you have anything that you've been multitasking that you think that you can eliminate to help you get more towards your one thing, or something that you're going to do more effectively?
I think I don't really have an issue with multitasking because of the nature of my work now. But what I need to focus on is eliminating tasks that aren't necessary. It's kind of like, the term busy work.
Right.
It's, you may think you're busy, but is what you're doing really important? And if it's not, get rid of it.
Yeah.
And so that's where I need to focus more.
Very true.
Yeah, it's increased activity doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting more results, and that's really what I need to focus on.
Yeah, that's always a challenge with me, and how I can be more clear. And it seems like with every client that I have going, what are we tracking? What is the results you want? What would be a big win? And sometimes that hasn't been clear for a lot of people going, I just need this posted. I need this going out, and it's so much stuff that it goes back to what's the one thing that's going to create you wins, and just getting more clear with that every time, going, maybe it's the chat message, maybe it's your website, maybe it, are we posting that every time, and are we creating more creative ideas to get people back, to
right.
engage, to, comment below, are we doing more of those? Are we just reaching out to enough people? Are you friending enough people, or, whatever that is? So it's always getting more clear of seeing more of what's creating that result. And when I see, we're growing, seeing more results, then it just seems like it's going to keep going, like just keep doing, just keep going,
Well, yeah, and it becomes habit.
Yeah, we created a new habit, created a new flow. And when you're first starting, it's hard to get that flow kind of growing in the right way. And so that's always for me, and understanding clearly, like, because I have so many things going on myself, the music and the, social media and all the other MLMs and channels that I have to follow, going, what's the focus for each one? Like my daughter's cat fun page, and what are we doing for that? And all these.
Well, and you're right, and that's where sometimes you have to sit back and look. Okay, is everything I'm doing going all the different directions? Am I getting the results that I need, or do I need to refocus on what I'm doing? So we all need to do that.
Yeah. And just taking the time to go back and say, here's what I'm going to do. Let's go do it. And then reevaluate at this time. And sometimes just throw it out there. We forget to go back and reevaluate. And then you're like, is it working? I don't know. I didn't go back and see what we're doing is working. Sure. Because I just threw it out there. So I always like to measure everything.
Yep.
And so I guess to help me be more clear for not to multitask is to be more clear of my measurement results in doing things out there. Right. So I think that's why I said the one thing I need to do is simply do a video for, my music, the new karaoke stuff for my music business out there, and get that going, because that will help me understand that focus, because I've been so focused on my social media and client work and stuff that I do one thing for me. Yeah. It's going. I got one going.
Yeah, you do have to do some things for yourself.
Yes. That'll be good.
Yep.
So see the last the next chapters is a disciplined life and a willpower is always on will call. And that is chapter 6 in the book. And they break it down to 3 parts. And the lies is up to chapter 9. And there's like 18 chapters. So all these lies that get us away from the one thing is part of this chapter. And so maybe the next week we can go through the disciplined life, willpower, balanced life, and big is bad, and finish up this first part. And so we can go through the 4 chapters. I think we went through like 3 today. That would be bad, right?
Not bad.
And even though some of these chapters are kind of short, but they all kind of go together. We can keep the sections together. Part 1, part 2, part 3. And I think every part of the lies part just helps get more clear of, staying focused. And if you can eliminate things, that's how I learned a lot from that gold hunt was, what is this code? What is this code? For the last clue, we go like, okay, if it's at a, if it's at a cemetery, what would be the code there? So we were looking at like the code on, the grave site, because they have like different meanings that they put symbolism on the tombstones and stuff. I was like, would that be the code? So it's kind of like just eliminating, no, that's not the code, eliminating what the code would be, or eliminating different things in your life to help you get more clear and focused. So I think just, my biggest word for my year or whatever is just being more aware. Sometimes I'm not aware that I'm multitasking. Oh, I got a notification and I see it from how many accounts all at once.
Right.
Oh, I saw that notification and Facebook and LinkedIn and WhatsApp and Twitter and, Skype or whatever all at the same time. Some people would be funny. You're like, I'm on Skype and then I'm going to chat you on Facebook just because I see that and see both of them. You're like, let's see how she sees the notifications going through. I'm like, why do y'all do that? Which way do you want to communicate? LinkedIn or Facebook? Like email? What's going on? Text message?
I'll call you.
Yeah, just freaking call me.
But sometimes we do get caught up in so many different ways to communicate.
Yeah, like what's the best way to communicate to you? Like, just communicate. Yeah. And I probably do that to some people, drive them crazy now too. Like, hey, message you on Facebook, text me, or go to meet.
Yeah.
I get it too. Just understanding how much handling on the communication. I actually put rescue time on my phone. And when I don't know if I'm really stressed or just kind of thinking about my different focus, I kind of go through some things and I'm on my phone more. So I think I went down to 6 hours a day on my phone, period. And I know that's a lot for me because I'm doing more actions on my phone than on my computer and tool. And I track, I need to go back, and my daughter's got a new computer. I need to go make sure I'm tracking on hers because she was doing her Roblox and YouTube, 95% every day. I'm like, you spent 25 hours on YouTube? What? This week? Like, we need to get out. So that's why I said we need to get a bike and we need to get, out and doing.
That's right. Yeah, sometimes you just have to put it away.
Yeah, and this weekend, I'm like, I got a lot of work to do. I'm resting my ankles. So I'm like, okay, whatever. It's time. But
yeah,
I'm trying to find some ways to do things together and find that balance. I think just being more aware, I think of what that multitasking is, helps me be more clear of where the priorities and how to get the right things done in there. So the one thing I'm still going to focus on getting my video done. And I see it growing success and getting my membership site and actually having maybe my first person paying for it. That'll be a first goal. Like, I got another income stream. Woo-hoo!
Speaking of that, did you got my email, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you checked any of it out yet?
Yeah, I started watching one video.
All right. Well, that's all right. You got till 5:45 tomorrow.
Okay.
Do what you can. But the main thing is to have a call. I've got Lisa Tolbert is a member of the Millionaire Club, lives in Tampa, and she's going to be getting on the phone with us.
Great.
Write your question.
Yeah, I used to live in Tampa for about a year or two.
Yeah.
Year when I was in college.
All right.
I like Tampa. The worst place to drive, though. Oh, my word.
Oh, in the city. Yeah, it's terrible.
In a college town, it is the worst place to drive ever. I mean, even Houston and LA, Tampa is worse than those big cities. And New York. Yeah, Tampa is worse. I've driven in all those, and Tampa is worse. I can survive driving through Tampa.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. What's your one thing you're going to focus on this week?
The one thing I'm going to focus on this week is actually showing more business plans, because that's part of my challenge, the 90-day challenge. I'm supposed to show 2 a week, but I'm shooting for 3 a week.
There you go.
So I've got a number of calls to make tomorrow
to get those appointments
to get the rest of the week set up.
Yep.
So I got one done.
Woohoo!
Hey, small victories.
Yes, and I know I signed up for free on the site, but maybe you can send that. Did you put that in the email too? Of your link?
Oh, the website?
Yeah.
Well, I'll shoot you an email on that. Okay. Now, really, once you've signed up, all you have to do then is just go to shop.com.
Okay.
And when you put your email and your password in, it will go to my site.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing it's critical is when you first sign somebody up to make sure they're on your site. Because
Okay.
if you don't, it randomly goes to anybody.
Oh, okay.
And I've gotten a few of those myself.
Oh, okay. Nice.
All right.
Like the random ones. Yep.
Yeah.
It was like me in the first online business going, finally making money in my sleep. And I did. I woke up like one morning. I was like, I made $400.
Cool.
I like making money in my sleep.
Oh yeah, that's the best kind.
Right. And now it just happens all the time. Once you set it up, keep it going.
Right.
We're looking forward to it. Next week we'll do the discipline life. We'll do those 4 chapters. And
Okay.
so your homework is to get the book.
No, I'll get it tomorrow. Well, I might download it tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Very good.
Good. Thank you so much, Dan.
This is fun.
Good.
You know, it's you gotta keep learning.
Yes.
You know, even at my age, once you stop learning, you're done.
Yeah.
So,
All
right.
I'm always learning, and I've got books lined up.
Yep.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Dan.
All right. You have a good one. Talk to you tomorrow.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.